So the engine horror continues. Now you need a 9mm socket, sorry, a 9mm hex to get that out of there. You can order one online because they're not standard. They normally come in 8 and 10, so either side. Right, so I've pulled this off, and to be honest with you, this is just totally ridiculous. So this is the odd looking piston rod that we've got here. So I undid one of the bolts, which was fine. It's torqued up pretty high, and as soon as I did that, the whole lot just fell apart. So look at the bolt on the other side that some clown has put in there. Look at it. Ready? Ta-da! It's just nothing there. If you like sheared the head off or something, and just left it in there, and then all the bronze needles. Look, there should be a whole outer cage there. Unfortunately, I've got hundreds of them. But I haven't got one handy to show you. But there should be a whole bronze cage there, and the whole thing is just completely disintegrated. And all of the rollers have got tapers on the end as well, which is not right. There should be square cut ones. So I have no idea, but this is again why you should, take your engine apart really and check it all. There's some mild scoring on here. It's a very thin hardened surface, this. So we're going to go for journals anyway, although I can't actually just about feel it. But again, the surface hardness is absolutely tiny on these, so we're gonna go for shells, journals, whichever you like to call them anyway. Right, let's have a go at getting this out of here. Okay, it's not going to move very easily, even with the breaker bar. Try the old drill, see that come out. A bit more power. Right, it's going to be a bit of a bugger then, isn't it? Ready? Have a look in there. Oh dear, here they come. Look at that. Let's see what we've got. So there used to be an old oil filter in there once upon a time. Now, it's nothing but goo. So when you look at this gloop here, oops, just fell on the floor. Obviously most of the channels you can safely assume when the engine will be full of this kind of crud as well. So we're going to have to take all that out. But we'll keep these parts. The filter that goes in there is just gold dust. You never see those. I think they started using it to start with apparently, and then changed their mind to a big pan filter underneath. I think there's a picture of that on Zundapp KS600's website. If you look into their photos, they've got one of those original oil filters. And then we'll take off the sump and we'll have a look and see what goodies we've got in there. Probably bits of bearing, I would imagine. Right, that's all done. Let's have a look in here, shall we? Right, this is good. So, sump tray. Oh look. Oh, by the way, I know you should be wearing gloves on this, but look, there's the top of the piston rod nut. So, which is good. Good sign. Some more parts of it. You can see it's sucked up some needle rollers in there. Put that down there out of the way. It's got a load of needle rollers. Don't know if you can see those or not. Down in there. Get them out of there. I found one piece of bronze cage under here. It's the only surviving remnant of the cage. You can see there, look. It's all completely worn away and destroyed. Let's get those out of there. Right, well the main thing is there's no crack in the casings or anything like that. The casings are pretty good. We'll see what we can do with the crankshaft. So I'm going to carry on now and just strip this down, see what other bits we can find, and then we'll slide out the crank and have a good old look at that. Right, I had a right old job getting a nut off over there, or a bolt rather. In the end I couldn't get it off, so I cut it off with the angle grinder. Now you might want to warm this case up a bit around the bearing at the top here, and then give it a gentle prise off. Just loosen off all the way around. Be really careful with the faces. Flat side of the chisel down, and only lift it off. Only put the chisel where the screw holes are. There we go. Ta-da! Oh dearie me. No idea what that is. Only a spring in there from memory. Plastic cotton gear. I use that to make it silent. Timing is adjusted on this here. Oil pump. Down in this section again we've got more of this, don't know what it is, some sort of mouldy stuff. You just literally bend the tang wash down, undo the big nut, which is usually quite straightforward. Then we need to undo this countersunk castellated nut, remove the bearing, remove the oil pump drive gear, move the main crankshaft drive gear. Oil pump's easy to get off, we'll show you that in a moment or a bit later. But before we start, I want you just to take note of these. Now you see the timing marks? So we've got one on the crankshaft drive wheel, we've got one on the Novatec, we've got one on there as well, and then we've got one on there for. So this is the default timing position when you're setting it all back up to start with. Right now again, when I rebuilt one of these before, I made one of these out of an old spark plug socket, cut it into a castellated shape and put it in there. Can I find it? Looked everywhere. So I'm going to have to make another one. So I'm going to set up some stuff here and I'll show you how to make another one of these tools. Alright, so here we have a piece of stanchion off of, there you go, nice thick steel chrome stanchion off of a Yamaha DT motocrosser. Just have a look at that, it just happens to fit perfectly. So all we need to do is just mark these very accurately. It's got to be really accurate, this, because as you turn it, if it's cut even half a mil out, then some of the faces won't meet up properly and you'll be applying all the torque to one tooth rather than that. So we just mark them all the way around. In fact, I'm going to go and get some more magnifying glasses so that I can get it even more accurate. And then we'll just cut that on the angle grinder, create the slots, and then we'll be back and weld it up a bit. Right, so there's the finished end. And I put a green mark on here and a corresponding green mark on there. There you go. just so it slots up, and I've done that because just in case the slots here are slightly worn, then I've cut the tool to match exactly, but it's roughly right. There we go. See, grips really hard. Now all we've got to do is brace the flywheel even, and try and get it off. The thing's a bit of a bugger. Sometimes that's proper stiff on there, so be interesting to see how we get on. So as usual, doesn't want to come off, so stuck for the moment. See, there's lots of oxidization behind it from where it's had water in it, which will clear up afterwards. Now we just need to get this thing off, so I'm going to have to modify this. I was hoping I'd get it off of this. I'm going to cut it off and make it into more of a socket. So I'm going to go off and do that now. So as you can see, I've filed some flats onto the side of there to exactly fit a 13mm socket. There you go. And fingers crossed that gets the damn thing off. Inch it outside in the end. Oh dear me, what a nightmare. So this tool even got out the old air hammer, wouldn't budge. So in the end I decided, which I should have done to start with, for a bit of a dope now. Looked at the thread on this, just thought to myself, in case I'm being thick, and lo and behold, it was a left-hand thread. So I've just spent the last hour tightening the damn thing. However, at least it's off, so now we can press on. Right, so next we need to get the bearings, sorry, the gears off. Now, I've taken these ones off. This one just came off where I've been heating it, luckily. That shouldn't be a loose fit like that, of course. It should be a press fit, where they're not difficult. Normally when you take this off, it destroys the bearing. So you have to buy a new one anyway. So anyway, we've got a new one of these, which we'll go through later. Right, next up, we need to get this one. Now, it's the small one is too tight to the big one to be able to get a set of pullers, these kind of things, underneath it. So I've got another one here which slides underneath normally, but you can't get any of those under there, so we have to heat up this gear and pull it up a bit first before we can get the actual pullers under it. So camshaft next. Undone these two little bolts here. Little washer on there. Interesting, because I've not seen that on other ones, but we'll save that anyway. Now, if you notice this here, there's these two little cuts on it. See that? One there, one there. What they're for is when the oil splashes out through the bearing there, it drips onto there and it goes into that little crack and lubricates this phosphor bronze bearing, and that's how it gets the oil to it. Got a couple of shims on the back here, and we'll pull out the camshaft, have a look at the state of this. So that's nice. Okay, so that's really interesting. It's rust. Get that cleaned up in a second, we'll have a look. Right, so there we can see, look, the cam lobe, it's got a big rusty chunk taken out of it. This side's not that much better. So we're going to have to find a new one of these because that's not usable anymore, as you probably gathered, which is a bit of a shame. Now they do two of these for this particular machine. You can buy the one for the wartime version and the original version, which is 38341, which is 28 horsepower, or you can buy the post-war version for the KS601, which is larger cam lobes, and that gives 34 horsepower, but I think you'll need the twin carbs, so one carb per bank to do that anyway. So I'm going to try and track down one of these. Now it's one of the only parts, annoyingly, I haven't actually got in stock, which is a bit frustrating, but I will go find one from somewhere.